Comics from New Jersey. It's the SNL Nerds, a show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John,
how you doing, Darren?
I'm doing very well, John. Thank you very much for asking, good sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I got real formal there. Wow.
We did. We got, and we have a special guest this week. We've got a special guest, an old friend of mine, old buddy of mine. We used to work together. My friend Anthony Austin. He's a co-host of the Culture podcast.
Hello.
Hey, Anthony. Welcome aboard.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on, fellas. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you. And we're going to be talking about the sequel to Coming to America, titled Coming to America.
Yes, not confusing at all.
Not confusing at all in an audio medium. So
love that creativity.
I know, but it's coming to with the number 2, so completely different thing.
Totally different. I gotta admit, that is kind of clever with the Coming to America. I'm pretty sure I saw somebody on Twitter suggest this even before this movie was announced. So I don't know if they got this idea to name it Coming to America from Twitter or what. But I was like, all right, that's kind of clever.
I don't know. Yeah, apparently this movie's been in the works for a little while. But before we dive in, we got a little bit of SNL news.
We do. SNL news.
They've announced the hosts and musical guests for the next 3 shows. I think we already knew that this next week, Maya Rudolph is returning the host, and Jack Harlow is going to be the musical guest.
That's right.
And then after that, we got Daniel Kaluuya and St. Vincent as a musical guest. That's for April 3rd.
Right. Daniel Kaluuya, as you most know from Get Out, movie Queen and Slim, Black Panther, and just nominated for an Oscar for his role in Judas and the Black Messiah.
Nice. So, yeah, good time for him to come on. And then we have, for the April 10th show, Carey Mulligan hosting, and King Cudi.
Kid Cudi.
King Cudi. We went over the pronunciation before we started recording, and it already went right out of my head. But
yes, it did.
It did.
Oh, dear.
It did. I got the memory of a goldfish. It's not good.
So Carey Mulligan, she was in the movie Drive, Inside Llewyn Davis, and again, just nominated for an Oscar for Promising Young Women. So we got 2 British Oscar-nominated actors coming up in April.
That is cool. I really want to see Promising Young Woman. That looks like an interesting film, but I haven't checked it out yet. Yeah,
I've heard a lot of good things about it. I still haven't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, just because I got to prepare myself. I know it's going to be like a super heavy film, but it's going to be really well done, really well acted. But I just know it's gonna. It's like one of those films where you got I got to prepare myself to see some really dark, heavy shit.
Yeah,
before going in.
Yeah.
Anthony, have you seen any of the films? Promising Woman, Judas and the Black Messiah.
I've seen them both. Promising Young Woman is actually a pretty good movie. Judas and the Black Messiah. I hopefully it wins Best Picture. Highly unlikely, but it was just a terrific movie, and he was just amazing in it. It's interesting how him and Lakeith Stanfield are both up for Best Supporting Actor. So who was the lead actor? I guess the story, but it's just a terrific movie. I think it might be off of HBO Max right now, but if you get a chance to see it, it is terrific, and it tells a very interesting story. And I think people will love it.
I didn't know much about the story of Fred Hampton, but yeah, you're right. This is like a story that kind of gotten buried within American history. That I'm very happy to see that they're kind of bringing to light that
yes,
a lot of people didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Kaluuya has St. Vincent, who I'm sort of familiar with her work. I know she's like an incredibly great artist. I know she can really shred on the guitar. I've seen some videos of her doing little guitar tricks, scootaloo, really getting in there. So, and she's she's been around for a while. I think she's been around since 2003. So she's she's not some new young SoundCloud rapper or nothing. She's she's a seasoned vet. And Kid Cudi, I remember from way back in the day, from 2008. He had that one huge hit with I think it was Kanye West produced it. It's called Day and Night. That got a lot of radio play. So
That sounds familiar. I wonder if I'd recognize it if I heard it.
I'm sure you will, because like once you hear it day and night, you're like, oh yeah, they played this on the radio like all the time back in the day.
Okay.
But I know he's also done some movies lately. He was most recently in the last Bill and Ted movie. So I'm happy to see what they'll do here.
Cool. And Jack Harlow. Do you know Jack Harlow at all? Jack Harlow's a new one on me.
Jack Harlow, I know a little bit. Like I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago. He's like this young white kid from Kentucky who's a rapper, and the kids quite like him. So I'm not too. I know, right? I'm not too familiar with this stuff or what he does, but I'll give him a shot. What the heck?
Okay. Well, that's what we have to look forward to the next couple weeks. But before then, we got Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America, and Anthony.
Yes.
Since this is your first time on the show, why don't you tell us a little about your SNL origin story? How did you get into the show? Are you into the show?
Yes.
And are you a fan of Coming to America? Why did you want to do this movie in particular?
I think I really thought about it, and I thought about the role of Eddie Murphy himself as a comedian, and this is probably maybe his most comedic part. The thing that I find funny about it, because I rewatched both, the original one, like the main character Akeem, isn't really that funny. Everything
he's
else
kind of
around
the straight man in the movie. Yeah,
very much so. But it's the other parts. It's the gentleman in the barbershop. It's him playing sexual chocolate, so on and so forth. I mean, these are classic bits that still reign on 30 years later, and might have been probably the best parts of the new movie. But like I said, I mean, he's a comic genius, and you got to kind of appreciate it. I would probably say that it all began maybe in the early 90s. I just like you're a kid, you end up staying up late and like, what's on TV? Then you end up stopping on SNL, and you realize like you get comedy, you get music, you get everything. I think that's the awesomeness of it. Am I a fan of it? Yeah. It's one of those things that it's an American institution. You gotta get a chance to watch it if you really want to understand like American comedy. It's probably one of like the first chapters you should read in a sense, or see to a degree. The thing that you realize about it is that the people that you see in movies and in television shows that you find generally funny began there.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they've had these long extenuating careers, and they've been a part of like the American fabric for such a very long time. So to have those guys and have them like part of Americana and part of your own personal lifestyle, like I was a big Farley fan. I was never a big Sandler fan, but I get it.
Yeah.
I was, I guess, because part of me is kind of cynical. I always appreciated Weekend Update. It's still my favorite part. Joseph and Che are okay to me, but they're not. They can do the job. It's fine.
Wow.
So,
all right.
I mean, Darren and I, we tend to be much more fans of Michael Che than Colin Jost.
But like you get it, it's the whole like white guy, black guy kind of thing. So it's the difference in culture and opinions and views. But they do make it funny. Like if I don't get a chance to watch it and I see the clips up on YouTube, I definitely will check it out. I think more than anything else, like I said, it's important in the sense of comedy itself, because I think to a degree, comedy is kind of a dying art. I think with cancel culture and the way that we're becoming more, I guess, quote unquote, awake about certain things, sometimes you need a little bit different. Sometimes you need somebody that's going to push the boundaries a little bit. And like I said, they do that very well on the Weekend Update. They do that pretty well in the show in general. There was some lapses over the years. I appreciate guys like Keenan who've been there for years. Like I said, Maya's coming on the show soon. So like those kind of performers who are just, in my mind, like comedy legends. Like Keenan's never done like a comedy album, something else like that, but I appreciate his longevity and what he provides to that show. Guys like that, I mean, I personally love it, so I don't have an issue with it. And I mean, more than anything, I'm actually kind of glad to be here just to kind of talk about Eddie, because of this whole Coming to America thing is going to start to annoy me. First Coming to America, let's put it that way.
Right. The original.
The original. Thank you for freezing.
No problem. OG Coming to America.
The OG Coming to America. I think like just having him there, like like I said, I watched it constantly over the years, but I remember between like me and a bunch of my friends, they were literally just, and they haven't watched it in years, but they were
Hmm.
just literally excited when said that Eddie Murphy's coming back to Saturday Night Live. It
Oh
was
yeah,
like
that
like
was an event, man.
Yeah.
it was like Jesus finally rose up from the grave and he's coming back. Like, you got to get tickets. Christ is coming back into town.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I mean that was something that I mean I don't know about you guys, but for me definitely I just never thought it would happen. I just thought he was done with SNL. It was just never going to come back, and like I'd made peace with it.
Yeah.
And then when I heard he was hosting the Christmas episode with Lizzo, I was like, oh, whoa! It really shocked me. I was really surprised by it.
Yeah, I mean, it was really surprising because I mean, for the longest time, he was on the outs with the show. I mean, he was mad, I think, because of the jokes that David Spade did about him on Weekend Update.
Right, the falling star thing.
Right? Yeah. Look, kids, it's a falling star. Make a wish, and and you know, he was
That's funny,
understandably upset at that. And then he very surprisingly came back for the 40th anniversary, and I think that helped, you know, thaw things between them. So yeah, it was really cool that he came back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it also seems like Eddie Murphy's at a point where he's having fun revisiting a lot of his old characters, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like when he hosted the show, he did Buckwheat, which I did not think he would do. He did Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. What was he?
Gumby.
Gumby was hilarious. I really like when he did Gumby. That's probably one of the times I saw like flashes of the old Eddie Murphy, like the one from the '80s that I grew up with. I was like, oh, he still got it. He still got it. Like I got all giddy when I saw that. When I saw Gumby, I was like, I was clapping my hands, like, ooh, he's got it.
He just like, it was good to see him. It's like you just want to see him go at it. Like, does he still have his fastball? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people like if you're a sports fan, or if you're a fan of somebody like, you know, Mike Tyson or Michael Jordan or somebody who was like a big deal in their heyday. Like as you get older, you like when you see them maybe come out of retirement or like, you know, maybe play a game of basketball or do boxing, you still want to see that they still got it. They still have that, you know, killer right hook or that jump shot. You just want to see. It just makes you happy to see that the heroes you grew up with still have, you know, they still got it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's I think that's a good transition into talking about the sequel, Coming to America.
So Coming to America, it came out a couple weeks ago on Amazon Prime, directed by Craig Brewer, who directed Black Snake Moan, Hustle and Flow, and he directed Dolomite Is My Name with Wesley Snipes and Eddie Murphy. This script was written by the original screenwriters of the first original OG, Coming to America, David Sheffield and Barry Blaustein.
Barry Blaustein.
And Kenya Barris from Blackish fame.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and we had just about everybody in the cast return in this. We had Eddie and Arsenio Hall, of course. Sherry Headley, who played Lisa in the first movie. John Amos, who was her dad. The McDougal's manager. James Earl Jones, who's like 88.
Yeah, he's an older fellow. I think somebody mentioned that, like, I think because like now Eddie Murphy's like 58, and so he's the same age now that James Earl Jones was in the original Coming to America.
Yeah, I read that. That's wild to think, man.
It is wild. I'm like, wow, time is something else.
And you know, and let's see, we had Louis Anderson came back, Paul Bates. That's about everybody. Matt Sinclair, unfortunately, has passed away in between the two films. So,
I think he passed away from cancer in '95. Actually,
I read that. I read that they also wrote in a cameo appearance for Samuel L. Jackson. He was going to rob the McDougal's again, but Samuel L. Jackson was so busy he couldn't reprise his role.
It's like, dude, you're still robbing banks?
That would have been hilarious, though. I would have loved to have seen that.
So you mean to tell me that, okay, it's good because this movie is going to be based in the present, right?
Yeah.
That Samuel L. Jackson was able to get through TSA with a shotgun, fly to Africa, to rob the McDowells in Zamunda.
You know, it didn't occur to me that it would be the McDowells in Zamunda. I was assuming it would be the one in Queens again. But it's funnier if he robbed the one in Zamunda.
He was like, they're opening up a new store. I think I should rob this one. Like that's his thing. Like, what do you do for a living? Like, I just stick up McDowell's.
I just love that concept of him like getting a passport to rob a restaurant.
He's been holding in this grudge for 30 years.
Like he just got out of the joint.
It's like, I'm robbing that McDougal's. It's McDowell's.
And he
Sir,
flies
business or pleasure? Both, I guess.
It's like Kill Bill.
and unfortunately,
he has a kill list of McDowell's stores. He's scratching off like.
He's just going to rob every McDowell's in the country. That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
I think we have the next sequel idea right here.
Paramount, call us.
Yeah.
Pay me.
That's right. Let's make this happen, Amazon.
And let's see. Unfortunately, Eric LaSalle did not come back to reprise his role of Daryl Jenks due to scheduling conflicts. He's like a busy TV director. He's apparently directing Chicago PD and some of those shows.
Right, but I mean, for the most part, they got like a lot of the original people back. Like the Rose Bearers are back. Garcelle Beauvais.
I noticed her early on. Yeah, I was like, oh, that was cool that she came back.
Yeah,
Oha. I don't think he even had any dialogue.
Yeah, I know. Oha, who's originally saying she's your queen to be. Yeah, this film is filled. This film is filled with like a lot of kind of fan service and just a lot of nods to the old film. I mean, so much so that there's actually clips of the old film in this film, much like Cobra Kai style.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, they incorporated some footage from the original. Let's see. I mean, it opens up much the same as the original film did, of them in the kingdom of Zamunda, in the palace, and we've got the king, or excuse me, the crown prince and his wife Lisa. They're being awakened by their servants, and it's their anniversary. They've been married like 30 years since the original. So I guess this takes place like a few years ago,
right?
Or they're just rounding off the figure. I don't know. But.
Like 30. And of course they say, oh, yes, it is our anniversary, which of course is a nod to the original where he says, yes, it is my birthday.
Right.
And we also learned that they have 3 daughters, too.
And one of them played by Eddie Murphy's real daughter, one of Eddie Murphy's real daughters. He's got like 10 kids, I think.
He has 10 kids. He's like Bob Marley, my lord.
A lot of kids, man.
A lot of mouths to feed. But yeah, the middle daughter, I believe her name is Oma in the movie, is Bella Murphy. Eddie Murphy's kid.
Yeah, and they're celebrating 30 years of Zamundan prosperity, so they've been doing pretty well for themselves in the time since the original movie.
Right, and also if you look at the palace that they're in, that was actually Anthony, you probably know this too. Yep. That was actually shot in Rick Ross's actual home in Atlanta.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, like Rick Ross has that whole palace, the whole like the backyard, the fields, like where they have like animals running free. That all belongs to Rick Ross in real life. I think
that's wild.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy says like, yeah, it's all his. He owns like 300 acres or something. So we just shot a movie in it.
Jesus,
that is wow.
That's so nuts. That's so
bathrooms do you need? Like he lives there, and I get it, but do I really need a house with like 15 bathrooms? Like, and it's just me.
I mean, sometimes you don't feel like cleaning the bathroom, so you're just like, all right, I'll just go use the other one.
Sometimes you feel like using a different bathroom for each day of the week. I mean, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, spice up life a little bit.
Exactly.
I mean, a little calendar you mark off, like, all right, after day 15, we're going to just rotate it again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that gives everybody plenty of time to clean them. So
right.
Yeah, the 300 maids he has to hire to clean his entire house. Yeah. He's keeping the economy flush. Good for you, Ross.
They got to pace it out, you know.
Yeah. You hire a small city to clean your bathrooms, and you're paying it forward. You're helping the economy.
You're giving back to the people. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's a giver.
And we also learned that they've opened a McDowell's in Zamunda, and we see, like you said, Cleo McDowell, John Amos, and Louis Anderson, who played Maurice. He's still working at McDowell's in Zamunda now. We have like
apparently he moved to Africa to work at the new McDowell's. That seems like a lateral move at best. But
yeah, it's like, oh, I still get to sling fries and burgers, but I'll be in Zamunda. Sign me up.
and he's all like decked out in the native garb, and I mean, it was nice to see him again because Louis Anderson, he wasn't necessarily somebody you'd expect to see come back, but it's cool that they gave him part in this.
Yeah, they brought back a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and seeing Louis in kente cloth is like the highlight of my life. Like, I kind of still feel bad for the guy. Like, I mean, everything about employment is like to eventually move up. Like, I really hope you're still not doing fries 30 years later. Like, you need to really reassess your job skills. Like, do something else. Like, can you let me do like can be assistant manager? I'm in a whole nother country. Like, can we start over? Like, I've proven my worth. I literally left a country to work for you in a country which no one looks like me. I'm a team player. Can I get just a bump in salary, or just change it? As a matter of fact, I'll do fries, but just call me the assistant manager.
I just hope he has like a 401k and medical and all that. I just hope that they're taking care of him.
The other thing is that it might seem like it might be kind of colonialism-ish if you bring the white guy over and all of a sudden he's the manager. They like, we got to kind of keep you here, Louis. This is not the time and place for you. You gotta work with us here.
The optics aren't great.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't find a good manager in Zamunda.
Yeah, we can't have you pushing around the other employees, if you know what I'm implying here. Thanks, Lou.
Yeah, like you said, the optics, they're not good. They're not good.
There's a quick question I want to pose though. What is his actual name?
Maurice. They've said it.
Thank you. I never knew that.
No, they said it in the first one, but like it was. I don't even know if they said it in the first one, but his name is Maurice in the the trilogy of Coming to America or whatever we'll call it.
In the Coming to America cinematic universe.
Yes.
Because it connects with Trading Places.
Right. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it seems like much is the same in the kingdom, but like the same but better, I guess, because they have a fast food franchise now. But he's still Prince Akeem is still doing the quarterstaff training, but now he's like fighting against his 3 daughters. Here's something that got me is like his oldest daughter is what, maybe 20 on the outside.
I believe so. Yeah, her oldest daughter is Mika, which if that's Akeem spelled backwards.
Yeah. So they waited a long time to have kids. That's like a decade that they waited to have kids, and it's a big plot point in this movie is that Akeem has no male heir, and I'm like, well, why did you wait so long to have kids?
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
I don't know. It's just something that got me, but
yeah, I mean, I guess he should have like a 30-year-old daughter at this point.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No, put it out there.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna go into the next thing. Where things seem to be prospering in Zamunda, and but there's also trouble afoot because they have an army from the country of Nextdoria comes through to the palace.
Was that the name of the country, Nextdoria?
I swear to you, yeah, NEX, yeah.
That totally went over my head. I missed the name of the country. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on. That's a little too on the nose. But yeah, it's the neighboring country of Nextdoria, and it's led by General Izzy, played by Wesley Snipes. Right. And he comes to the palace to talk to Prince Akeem because he's still upset that Akeem left his sister at the altar 30 years ago, and of course they bring in the sister, and of course it's the same woman that was, bark like a dog, hop on one foot, and she's still
still hopping on one foot and barking like a dog. I enjoyed that. That made me laugh. That was cute.
Right. I also liked how they had this comedian Michael Blackman come in and introduce General Izzy and giving him this big speech saying he's the most well endowed man in Africa, which I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it turns out that Akeem has no male heir, and the throne of Zamunda must pass to a male heir. Um, like James Earl Jones's King character, he's still around, but he's not in the greatest of health. He is dying.
Right. So we see, like you said, the king is on his deathbed with his aide by his side, who's Baba, played
Mhm.
by Arsenio Hall in tons and tons of makeup. Um,
Yeah, yeah, a new character for Arsenio. That was kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. So I guess like Baba's like the soothsayer aide to the king, and that's when they tell Akeem that he actually does have a son that he's never known about
Mhm.
back in Queens.
Yeah, and then this was an interesting sequence. It's there's a flashback to the first movie where we see Akeem and Semi uh, out at the singles bars, and and it turns out like Akeem or Semi is like, "Hey, I never told you about this. We actually had a what's that?
Well, no, I was just laughing. It's funny.
Oh, okay. And he was like, we had this thing where we picked up some women at the bar and we took them back to the apartment, and you got high and ended up having sex with this woman, and she's
Yeah,
played by Leslie Jones, SNL alum.
yeah, and I gotta also say like they use like some de aging thing in their
Yeah,
face. It was like very Marvel movie where
yeah,
like they showed where they de aged Arsenio and Eddie to look like their younger selves. It was like real. I was like, whoa, that's actually pretty good.
yeah. I mean, I thought at first, oh, they're just showing us some old footage from the movie, but then the scene kind of moves on, and you're like, oh no, this is stuff that wasn't in the first movie. But they did an impressive job with it. I mean, it was very convincing, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was sort of. I mean, when I first heard about like they introduced this thing where they say, "Oh yeah, he has a son he didn't know about." Like I think part of me was like, "How are they going to do this?" Because I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably one of the reasons why my wife really didn't want to see this film because she loves the first one so much and holds it so dear to her heart. Where because so in the first film, they're sort of saying that Akeem is this man who like wants to find his equal, wants to find true love, and he's played very honestly and earnestly, and very like
Yeah.
like a kind of like a role model. He has this very honest view of love, and then
Yeah.
this kind of comes in and it sort of like negates all that. Whereas like, oh yeah, by the way, he knocked up some broad in Queens too. So
I,
like, I,
earnest is a good word for him, I think. Yeah.
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 So part of me was like, well, are they kind of betraying the character by doing this by saying he had a one night stand and hooked up, or like I didn't know how they would do it. And so the way they did it is it's like you said, like Semi took these two women back to their place, the old apartment. They still have the chalk outline of the dog and whatnot.
Hmm.
And like Akeem was like got high off the doobie, and he doesn't remember it, and he has sex with this woman. I was like, I guess that's plausible, but I still don't know how I feel about this whole rewriting history thing
Hmm.
in order to sort of create this thing for the movie.
Anthony, what did you think of this bet?
I get how comedy can push things to the limit. I do understand it. It's the point of it. But to say that you had a son because of date rape might be a little too much.
Mm.
Even and like I said, I tend to be a touch cynical, but the whole thing is that you get to that point. I'm not certain because I think they were trying to find a creative way of doing so, but doing so opens up a whole bunch of other questions. Like, is there another method that we kind of go about of him whatever. Like, okay, I'm just off the top of my head. If they would have said something like he wasn't sure at that point, even though it was early on in the original movie, that he was going to find an heir just to make sure or whatever, maybe he should, I don't know. I put some semen aside. I donated just to be safe. I don't know. I was scared. And then maybe that happens. But to say, like, oh, I came home one night, I drugged a guy, had sex with him, all of a sudden I had his kid. It's it might be a bridge too far, like for me, but I get how they were trying to make it funny, and you can get like a little
Hmm.
chuckle out of it. But when you think about it, like, no, that's kind of sexual assault. Should we kind of find the humor in this? They tried it. I
Yeah.
don't think it worked out too well, but they tried it, which I'm trying to wrap my mind around it and get it to understand. But the whole problem is that you run into that purpose right there in that little window, especially in the way society is now with the Me Too movement and so on and so forth. It's like, it's a joke that even if you found another way to go about it and it wasn't funny, at least you can just make it happen. But to use that as like the mechanism of making a joke about it, and like the other part is that, like I said, when he's reminding himself of it, it's like, I had a dream, and I think he said like a rhino or something, or
Yeah.
like got on top of me and was jumping up and down to something else like that. And he's like, then like it kind of comes to realization like, oh, I was raped. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to get the bit out of it, but it's kind of not funny. I wish they would have went around it a better way, but it was what it was. But it's a weird turning point in that movie to kind of get this point forward. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, until you put it like that, I wasn't thinking of it as sexual assault because, like there's still a little of that double standard where it's like, if it's like a woman assaulting a man, we don't think of that as bad somehow. But no, you're 100% right. That was sexual assault because he was not in his right mind.
Yeah, and that's like the one of the things that kind of turned my wife off to it. And like she actually came up with an idea that they maybe, I don't know if they thought of or maybe they should have done, but like she was saying, well, why don't they do this? Where he actually has a son, like, in Zamunda years ago, the son grows up to want to study abroad and go to America, and he likes America so much that he doesn't want to come back to Zamunda. So
Hmm.
like the whole movie could be about him going back to America, to Queens, to talk to his son and try to convince him to come back to Zamunda instead of having this whole weeded up date rape thing in
Yeah,
here. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, it's just
Oh man, that's brilliant because I mean, in the original, the king has a talk with Akeem talking about. Uh, I assume that you know how to do this. Do you have sex with your bathers? I do. So maybe he had sex with one of the bathers.
hmm
She gave birth, and then the kid. Your wife deserves a production credit. Seriously.
yeah, that's a good too. It could have been one of those things. There's like I mean, there are a few other ways that they could have gone with this. But this whole thing with the him getting weeded up and having sex without knowing it, I don't, I'm not wild about it.
hmm
But I don't know.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the creepier it comes off. I guess my brain was just in comedy mode when I was watching it, so I wasn't really thinking about the implications of it. But yeah, the more you think about it, ugh,
Yeah, but this is the way they chose to go, so this is the way we're going.
that's
Uh,
that's what they did.
we have the king telling Akeem that he has a son. Baba, the soothsayer, had a vision about the son. This is what he looks like. They have it.
Hmm.
Baba shows him a drawing of the son played by Jermaine Fowler, New York
Yeah,
comedian, and so they have to go find the son because also there's a thing where General Izzy is kind of pressuring them to have either to join their two countries together, either have one of Akeem's daughter marry his son, which
right.
none of the daughters want to do because the son seemed to be kind of a joke, or to have a son marry Izzy's daughter.
Hmm.
But then he was like, "Oh yeah, you don't have a son, sucker." So like,
Yeah,
so they have to get the son to marry. They have to get Akeem's son to marry Izzy's daughter because if they don't, that'll kind of cause more tension between the two countries, and also like they feel like Izzy's going to move in or he's going to make a move as soon as the king dies. He's going to like maybe have Akeem assassinated and just take over Zamunda.
right, right. And the king, James Earl Jones's character, he's like, I'm not long for this world. I'm gonna have a funeral, uh, but I'm gonna have it while I'm still alive. Uh, yeah, Anthony, what you had something to say?
I respect the boldness. I want to try that out for myself.
Of having a funeral while you're still alive?
Yeah, because I know all of you guys might not be able to attend my funeral. But if I have a birthday party when I'm like 70, like, all right, all you guys are here, so I'm going to roll out a coffin so that you guys come up, say nice things, so on and so forth, give me my flowers. So when I actually depart this world, if you can't show up to the actual funeral, you were already there, so you don't have anything to feel guilty about.
There you
Nice.
go.
I like it.
I mean, it's an efficient way to do it, and you get to hear all the nice things people say about you while you're still around to hear them.
Yeah, I need the same guest speaker that he had though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's get into that.
We had some interesting cameos in this funeral. We had first of all we had Morgan Freeman, the great Morgan Freeman popping up.
Yes, with a voice as smooth as the ages.
Exactly. I mean, I'm assuming you guys recognized his voice before he popped up on camera, right?
Of course,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we also have En Vogue coming on, and they're singing "What a King" to the tune of their hit "What a Man."
Yes, and then we also get Salt and Pepper joining in. So
Yes,
we get it's quite an event.
Salt and Pepper.
Nice. And then we also get Gladys Knight singing "Midnight Train to Zamunda."
I was not expecting Gladys Knight. I mean, I was not expecting any of these people to show up.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was fun, and it helped it make it more over the top. So I thought that was really cool.
Right. Have you guys thought about who you want to sing at your funeral, or for you to attend when you attend?
Oh boy, that's a big question there. I mean, Darren, do you have some people in mind?
Oh, I mean, of course, Weezer.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, maybe I should go bigger. I would maybe De La Soul. Maybe. I don't know. I bring up the question and I have no answer. I don't even know why.
Yeah. Okay. I was assuming you had people in mind. I mean, Weezer would be fun. I mean, I'd love to get Elvis Costello.
Ooh, that's
that would be fun. We could have some of the other musical guests start a song, and then Elvis Costello just comes on and just says, "No, I'm sorry, there's no reason to play this song here today."
Oh,
and then it just goes into radio.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
That would be, especially if this is like one of my, the funeral while I'm still around. Yeah, that's how I want to go out.
I would want to see that too. Shit, damn.
You want to see my funeral?
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Inner voice.
Damn it. Said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud.
Yes.
Anthony, what about you? Who would you want to play at your living funeral?
Stevie Wonder.
Oh, there you go.
That's the answer.
There you go.
Like, the guy can play the piano, he can sing, he plays the harmonica. Like, it's a whole band in one person. Like, why would
he could redo like "Happy Birthday" to "Happy Funeral"?
That's good.
Happy death day to you. Happy death day. Like, thank you, Stevie. I can literally die in peace now. I appreciate that.
That's the way you want to go out, man. Yeah.
Happy Death Day. That is good.
Yeah.
Happy Death Day to you.
See, it has a nice ring to it. Like it's harmonic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pleasing to the ears.
And it's sang by Stevie Wonder. And I mean, the beautiful part about having Morgan Freeman is that I just love the guy's voice so much that if I'm fired from my job, I wish they can do it in Morgan Freeman voice. I feel a lot more better about myself. Like, you've been terminated from this employment. Like, thank you, man.
You wouldn't be mad. You couldn't be mad if Morgan Freeman fired you.
I just called my mom, like, "Hey, Mom, guess who fired me from work?" Morgan Freeman. She's like, "What?" Yeah. They flew him in from wherever he was in the world, sat down in my little desk, and fired me. He wouldn't let me take pictures or sign an autograph, but I got voice recording. It's beautiful. Play that at my funeral. When I die, like, remember the time I met Morgan Freeman? I have evidence. Look, he fired me.
Damn.
Think about it. Think of who I am, that Morgan Freeman flew in to get rid of me.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be cool.
Wow. That's that sounds fantastic. And the funeral that James Earl Jones was attending was so fantastic. He was like, "This is beautiful. I'm going to die now."
Yeah, he just passes away while he's like standing upright in his coffin. So
yeah, and that's it.
So the king has passed away, and now long live the king. Prince Akeem is now King Akeem. So
right,
and now he really has to address this whole no male heir question. So
right, so then he decides to take Semi and go back to Queens to find his bastard son.
That's right. Yeah, they call him his bastard son a few times.
Yeah.
Um,
Quite a few times.
quite a few times. Quite a few times. And so so we go to Queens and we meet his bastard son, who's named Lavelle Johnson, right?
Lavelle Johnson.
Yeah. And his uncle is played by Tracy Morgan.
Yes. Uncle Reem.
Uncle Reem.
Uncle Reem.
And apparently, like, Eddie Murphy originally wanted Tracy Morgan to play his son in this. And, and I think Arsenio Hall pointed out, he was like, no, that doesn't work.
It's like you guys are the same age. How's that going to work?
Yeah, he was like, Arsenio Hall said, I'm like, I love Tracy and he's the funniest guy in the world, but yo, Ed, y'all about the same age.
I could just imagine.
I think they should have gone for it and just had Tracy Morgan as Eddie Murphy's son. I think that would have been it.
Yeah, just don't even explain it.
No. I mean, there's so many other implausible things in the movie. I mean, would Tracy Morgan being Eddie Murphy's son really have been that out there?
Not really.
If you're going to go over the top, go way over the top.
Go all the way with it, man. Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
I think that would have been fun.
Eddie Murphy, I'm your son.
I'm an African prince.
Prince Akeem, you my father.
You
got my mother pregnant.
You my father.
You had legs up in the air and everything. My mother told me all about it. I feel like, whoa.
You got all up in there.
All up in there. Remember when I just say I'm gonna get you pregnant? You got her pregnant.
I think that, especially if like Leslie Jones was still playing his mother, because I'm pretty sure Tracy Morgan is older than Leslie Jones.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
That would have been hilarious.
He might be. I'll look into it, but yeah, he might be.
Yeah,
and I think that some things about certain comedies is just that if you're going like the idea of this being a sequel itself, because the original kind of wrapped up the entire story, is absurd. Yeah. Lean into the absurdity. Like this is not supposed to make sense because we don't care if it makes sense. It's just funny.
Yeah,
like these guys are the same age. Of course, you're going to ask, why is Tracy Morgan the son? But then you'll be like, Tracy Morgan's hilarious. Who cares? Continue.
Exactly. But so we meet Lavelle, and it's his 31st birthday. He's on a job interview, and he's interviewing at a company called D&D Digital, and the fellow who's interviewing him is in a surprise cameo is played by Colin Jost.
That's right. Boom. We get Josty in here.
We got Josted. And we find out over the course of the interview that the D&D and D&D Digital stands for Duke, and Colin Jost is playing Calvin Duke, who's the son of one of the Duke brothers, and we cut to a painting on the wall of the Duke brothers from Trading Places.
Another nod to the originals.
Yeah, to the Coming to America cinematic universe.
Yes, C2AU.
Yeah. So Eddie and Arsenio, they come back to Queens. They find Queens is very different because it's been gentrified in the years since the original movie. They go back into the barbershop, and we see all the old guys at the barbershop still there 30 years later.
Right.
So they're probably like, 112 by now?
Yeah, that's about it's a safe bet.
Because they were up there in 1988, man.
There were no spring chickens. So like I'd imagine 30 years later, they're the oldest of chickens.
Yeah, but it's fun to see them again.
It is.
They guide Akeem and Semi. I keep blanking on Semi's name for some reason. They guide him to where Akeem's son is, and he's like selling tickets at Madison Square Garden.
Right, because like he's this kid, he's like looking for a job, he has like a lot of passion and drive, but it just needs a break. He doesn't get the job because he kind of because like I think Colin Jost kind of is like he gets into his business about like his upbringing is like, oh, your dad wasn't around. Yeah.
Well, Colin Jost is his character's kind of racist. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, was your mom like is she, single mom? Was she like hooked on drugs or something, or gambling.
Yeah, I mean, he's making all these assumptions about his family life. I mean,
He's
some
a
of them
duke.
are correct, but still.
Right. So
It's what you expect. He's a duke. They did the same thing. Like it's their
The-
whole plan. Like okay, he has a terrible upbringing because when
yeah,
they had the interview with him, like you come from a broken home, like no father, no son. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah. So what about it? Like perfect. So
yeah,
for him to do it is like it's a beautiful callback. Of like this stuff apparently doesn't break generations. You're going to be a douche either apparently by blood. It just kind of built in. So yeah,
yeah.
great callback.
right,
That's
right.
true. That's true. The Dukes are very, very racist.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
But yeah. So of course Lavelle tells him off, and the barbers let him know that, oh yeah, I've seen him around. He kind of scalps tickets in front of the garden. He's supposed to be scalping tickets for the St. John's game coming up, so maybe
Yeah.
you'll see him around there. So
Yeah.
so then they go to the garden. Of course, he's there scalping tickets. Of course, Semi says, "Hey, you can't just walk up to him. You're the king now. You have to kind of dress in more,
Yeah.
low key clothing." And of course,
You're internationally known, so you would be
Right.
recognized if you step out in your kingly garb.
Exactly. The world knows who you
So
are.
so we get another call back to the first film where Eddie's like once again in all the touristy type stuff.
Right. The New York Mets jacket and the Mets home of the Big Apple hat.
Right.
But yeah, so then Akeem tells him, I believe you're my son, my long lost son.
Mhm.
Of course, Lavelle is very dubious, or is like who are you? What's going on? And
Yeah.
I don't know, somehow Lavelle just ends up taking him back to his apartment with his mom and Uncle Remus at, because like it's his birthday and they have a cake for him. We also see comedian Lunel there. I think she's a friend of the family. And so then we
From she's probably best known still for the first Borat film.
Yes. Oh wow, I totally forgot about that. And
Yeah.
so then Lavelle says, "Hey, mom, this guy says he's my dad. Is he?" And then of course Mary, who's Leslie Jones, saying, "Oh yeah, I think he is your dad. I remember sleeping with him."
Yeah, you can see her like doing the math in her head. She's like, "Okay, could he be his dad? Yeah, he could be." So yeah, she puts two and two together, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is your dad." And Akeem is like, "I'm going to take you back to Zamunda so you can assume your birthright." And Lavelle insists on taking his mother Mary with him because I guess we want Leslie Jones in this movie as much as possible. There's no real good reason for him to take Mary to Zamunda with him, but
Not really. I mean, yeah, he's a grown ass man. He can just go by himself. I don't know why, but the mom was like, she's like, yeah, my mom. She comes with me, and so I guess it's just funny to see Leslie Jones in Zamunda.
yeah.
And they did have one line that I like, where like she was like, "All right, I'm gonna pack my bags, I'm gonna go," and then like I think Lunel says, "Hey, you're just gonna leave here with all your stuff here," and she's just like, and then Leslie Jones says, "Yeah, just take whatever you want. This shit all sucks anyway. I'm out of here."
So Akeem, it takes Lavelle and Mary back to Zamunda, and apparently he took this whole trip back to Queens without ever telling his wife, Queen Lisa.
Right, I noticed that too. Because he as they're about to leave, Akeem talks to Semi. He's like, "Hey, do you think Lisa will be cool with all this?" And then at that point, I was like, "Wait, you didn't tell Lisa about any of this?"
Yeah,
And apparently not.
Yeah, apparently not. And Lisa's kind of angry. She's like, "How did you never tell me about this?"
Yeah,
and they kind of have it out, and she's like, "Okay, well, I can't be too mad about you, having this child because this was like before we even met." But she's like, "Hey, Akeem, you got to be honest with me from here on out, and like no more surprises." And then of course, like Lavelle and Mary walk in, and it's like, "Oh, you brought them back to this country, okay?"
And then it's like, "Hey, so this is my bastard son, and hey, daughters, here's your bastard brother that you never knew about."
Yeah.
And it goes over about as well as you think.
Yeah.
And of course, the eldest daughter, Mika, is, of course, she's upset that like he has a son now, and
Mm-hmm.
Akeem has a son now, and he's going to be heir to the throne because she's doubly upset. She's also upset over the fact that she's the eldest, but she can't be the heir to the throne because she's a woman,
Right.
which
Yeah. That's
is
like the laws of the country, which it's sort of like a new thing they've introduced in this sequel, I guess.
yeah. Apparently that's apparently a woman can't rule, so
So,
that sucks. So yeah, so
mhm.
even though she's lived in Zamunda all her whole life and is trained and knows all about Zamundan ways, she can't rule Zamunda. So it's going to go to this dude who just found out, like literally yesterday, that he's an heir to the throne and knows nothing about Zamunda.
Right.
Uh,
And we have this whole thing where General Izzy comes back and he presents his daughter, and we have another big musical number, much like in the first film when they were presenting Akeem's bride to be.
yeah, but to this one, it's this big huge dance, like almost Bollywood style number, while Oha sings "Get Off" by Prince to it,
Mm-hmm.
which it's like, wow, that's a choice. That's a choice. That's a way to go.
I mean, they just wanted to get a Prince song into the movie, I guess.
I guess so. It's a way to go.
They're big Prince fans in Zamunda. Didn't you know that?
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Prince is. I mean, I know Prince is. He was worldwide known, but I didn't know in Munda he was seen as like royalty.
I think their national anthem is actually like Raspberry Beret.
It's a good track.
Yeah.
It's my national anthem.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man.
So then it turns out that Lavelle, to be the prince, he must pass a princely test, and they give him 1 week to do this. And this is where the movie went off the rails for me a little bit.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah, was it later on for you or?
No. I mean, maybe the Get Off performance. I was like, all right, this is kind of silly. Yeah. And also, we should also mention that there is sort of a love interest that's introduced here with to Lavelle, because Lavelle has, now that he's prince, he has royal bathers and whatnot, and he also has a royal hairstylist as well.
Yes, she like restyles his hair into the proper Zamundan style.
Yes, marimbe. Like he puts in that little like kind of that long tail that Akeem had in the first one too, and like the two of them start to sort of develop a rapport. So and early on you could tell like, oh, these two are gonna like fall in love and stuff.
Yeah, it was real obvious, where they were going with that. We had another cameo that I think is worth noting. We had Trevor Noah pop up as a newscaster on the Zamundan news network ZNN, and we even have like a James Earl Jones voiceover going, "This is ZNN." I thought that was cute.
Yeah, I like that. I did not expect to see him, but yeah, he pops up. Of course, he talks about how there's a new prince and he's going to be the heir to the king, even though he's born and raised in America and he knows nothing about Zamundan ways. He's a man, and that's good enough.
That's all that matters, right?
It's all that matters. As long as you got the twig and two berries, you can rule the land.
It's what I've always believed, right? So he's like Lavelle is like studying up on Zamundan history. He has to like name all his forebears and stuff, and they've all got odd names that are tough for him to remember. And he also has to prove his courage by getting the whiskers off of a lion.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, you want to go into this?
Yeah. Let's go into this.
That's the point where I'm like, all right, you guys. Okay, I understand you have a room full of writers trying to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So someone came up with a brilliant idea, like for him to prove his courage, what we're going to do is have him cut the whiskers off of a lion. And it might be possibly the dumbest thing you could possibly. I don't see how that proves courage. It kind of proves stupidity. Like, I don't want to get near any wild animal in any country ever. As a matter of fact, before I jumped on here, I was reading a story about some guy who took his 1 year old child inside of some kind of zoo. And there was an elephant there. He wanted to get close. He jumped over one fence and went inside under the whatever the protection is to go inside of this cage to take a picture with an elephant.
Oh no.
I think it says more about our obsession with social media than anything else.
Uh-huh.
But the elephant, of course, charges him. He runs out of there, gets under the wire, and he's carrying a 1 year old. He drops the kid.
Oh,
Then picks the kid back up, and like everyone's like, that's wrong for what you did. The whole thing is that you should not get close to any wild animal ever. And you shouldn't get close to them to, cut off a whisker. I would have just bought one or something that was similar to a whisker. Like, I understand like a lion's whisker is long, but I'm pretty sure there's some stray cats running around Zimundo somewhere. You get a couple, you tie them together, like, hey, look, I cut it off. And like, you could just walk out into the jungle somewhere where the lion doesn't see you, just come out with your hand. Hey, look, I did it. I'm Prince. I'm the guy. But for the fact that like I need to think of a way to cut the whiskers off a lion, and you give me like the smallest pair of scissors in history, not like garden shears where they're real long. Maybe I can take a little quick snip. No, you give me like cuticle nippers to cut these little things off. And I'm like, all right, guys, I know you're supposed to be funny, but it borders on stupidity. Like, you gotta find another way for this guy to let him talk to the most beautiful woman in the world. And if he can get her phone number, that shows courage. He should be Prince, not send me out into the wild to get murdered. Like, like Akeem's the Prince. He can rewrite the laws any way he wants to. He has literally one single male heir, and you're going to send him out there to die. It blew my mind, just the stupidity of this plan. Like, you guys, you're like a dollar store version of Wakanda. You don't have all the tech, but you got all the cool stuff. You have a McDowell's in the middle of nowhere where people are going to go to. The fact that you're going to sign me up, you're my only male heir who I just recently met, to get murdered, I don't understand what you guys were thinking. They didn't think this shit through at all.
Wow. You got.
I feel like you had some problems with this plot point, Anthony.
You kind of have to. I don't want to. I love it. Like, I'm almost in tears because I don't want him to die. I know he's not going to die, but I don't want him to die. I don't want, like, you don't have to put people in perilous positions to prove courage.
Right.
It's like as Americans, we love the military because they put their lives on the line. All right, I get it. It requires a bit of courage and probably a lot of insanity to do the things that they do. Like, I'm your only heir. Like, who's really going to say anything if I don't do this one part? Like, I'm royalty, so that means, I have some comfort in, like, push me to the head. I'm already at the head of the line. I don't have to do anything else. Let me just remember these names and get along with this coronation and kind of go about our merry way. This whole, I need to cut the whiskers off. Like, then let me murder the lion. Like, let me go toe to toe then. Don't let me, like, do some cute, like, here, kitty cat, snip, whiskers, I win. No, let me go out there with like a field knife and like a helmet and just go to war with the lion. If I come back, missing a limb, I'm still, the heir to the throne, and I prove my worth. But the whole fact that all I need to do is take a pair of scissors and cut some whiskers off seems pretty damn stupid to me.
I just thought it was such a weird, arbitrary thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not any kind of test that's like in behavior or anything. It's not like in the first movie where Akeem had to convince Lisa to fall in love with him when he's just like this lowly fast food worker. The whole lion thing, it I don't know, it was very out of nowhere.
Yeah, it doesn't really add anything to the story. I mean, the only thing it kind of did was it kind of built like a friendship between Lavelle and Mika, because as Lavelle was trying to figure out how I'm going to get the whiskers from this lion, like Mika comes up and like there's static between the two of them because she's upset that that he's the heir to the throne, and he's just trying to figure out his new way in this new land, and like so the two of them have like issues, but they're able to like talk it out a little bit, and like she actually helps him come up with the plan to get the whiskers. So that's kind of shows them mending, fences and maybe getting a little closer. I mean, that's the only thing this whole scene really accomplished too. Like the whole like snipping of the whiskers and the way they do it, I was like, I don't know if I needed this.
May I ask a question?
Yeah. It just seemed like this weird arbitrary action sequence in there, and yeah, I guess the way he got the whiskers was kind of clever, but I don't know. I don't think the movie needed it.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any job or any amount of money that would make you feasibly attempt that?
Make me an offer.
$10 million.
I think I might need more.
Okay, let's make it
risk my life.
Let's make it $50 million. As a matter of fact, we'll make for $75 million, you have to cut off the whiskers and kiss the lion.
Oh wow!
Damn!
Oh damn!
Let's step it up.
Maybe there's no.
I'd at least consider it, but I don't know. If you're mauled by a lion, you're not going to be around to spend the $50 million. So
yeah, I mean, could I just like agree to that and then just go like tranquilize the lion and then clip the whiskers and then kiss it and then give you the whiskers and be like, hey, check please.
Right. Yeah. I think eventually you have to kind of scam yourself into the money.
Yeah.
Like it's just not actually feasible. And you got to remember, like Lavelle's just some random kid from Queens.
Right.
To think that he's going to be able to actually functionally do this task is like this major plot hole in a movie. Like you've seen everything you know about this guy. He's kind of a slacker. He's trying to figure out his life, but now he just has the courage to go ahead and clip the whiskers off a lion. Like,
yeah,
all right, I'm suspending reality for this movie as it is. It can only stretch my brain so far.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a little much. And I also like that point you brought up about how Prince Akeem could just like change the laws and whatnot. Because like that is also another theme that goes on throughout this movie. Because once there was like a thing where once General Easy presents his daughter Bopoto, played by Tiana Taylor, he presents the daughter to Lavelle. He says like, this is my daughter. She'll is it cool? She marries your son. Let's arrange this. And then Prince Akeem says, well, you know how I have a feeling about arranged marriages. Like I believe love is the bedrock. But let's make this happen. So like he's here. Yeah. He's okay with the arranged marriage, even though we all know he clearly wasn't in the first movie.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting because like towards the end of the film they sort of imply that Akeem has sort of become his father in some ways. He's become much more conservative and traditionalist than he ever was in his youth. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I entirely buy it, but it was an interesting way to take them.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen. Like, we know a lot of people who, like, in their 20s are super liberal and, vote one way. And then as you get older, in their 30s and 40s, they turn conservative and Republican and stuff. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it is a interesting take they decided to go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this movie it focused on Lavelle more than I was expecting it to. I was just assuming, it's a sequel to Coming to America. Eddie Murphy's the star. I thought it was going to be mostly about Akeem, but after we find Lavelle, the focus kind of shifts over to him.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does absolutely. All right, so where were we?
Well, he got the lion whiskers. Like he tricks. He ends up in a cage. And then the lion, he like smeared the bars of this bamboo cage with cat food. They have like Friskies down in Zamunda,
as you do,
and that as you do, and that gets the lion docile enough that he's able to snip some whiskers off of him.
Right, because that plays on something that Akeem told him, saying, when I had to do it when I was a prince, it's easier if you just think of the lion as a big house cat. So
yeah,
that's why they got the that was like, but that's I don't know no house cat like that.
That's like saying just think of the alligator as a very big pair of shoes. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wolves, they're
Um,
just like puppies.
but the other thing I did notice about this movie is that I really wonder like like how much certain companies paid for product placement, because I'm going to backtrack just a touch. It's like
yeah.
they're doing the whole thing at McDowell's, and they literally stopped to like do like a Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wait, like, like this wasn't in the original. Like, I get the whole McDowell's thing, but you guys are literally going to stop, pose, and hold a Pepsi cup like Pepsi, the drink of Zamunda. Like,
That
oh,
was like some Wayne's World shit.
yeah, like,
That was, but not really doing it ironically the way they did.
Right.
yes,
I mean, I did notice that. I noticed that at one point Lavelle's playing some song on his Spotify, and like they clearly showed Spotify. There's one point where Mika's wearing a Puma suit, like a track suit or something like that. So yeah, there's a good amount of product placement in this film too. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
yeah, got to get the check when it's there.
I guess so. It's tough to finance movies these days, I guess.
I guess so.
And then like the final test of his princely duties or whatever is they say it's going to be a ceremonial circumcision. That's the final test of courage.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, this I didn't need.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah, most movies don't need ceremonial circumcision scenes, I find.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh, this is just like one big dick joke. I mean, look,
I don't think I've ever walked out of a movie and been like, you know what, that movie could have used a ceremonial circumcision. You know, most movies they don't put that in, and when they don't, I never miss it.
it's fair enough. I was like, it's like I went into that movie expecting to see a ceremonial circumcision, and there wasn't. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, if you're expecting it and it's not in there, yes, you're understandably disappointed. But if you're not expecting it and it's not in there, no, you're never going to miss it.
Yeah, it's yeah. That whole scene was just like one big dick joke, and then at the end, it turned to be like a psych out because like they're like, oh yeah, we just cut a potato. We made you think it was your penis. Haha.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was just. I'm also confused. It's like, how do you cut something that is not a part of the person's body, and then they think that is? How do you fool somebody into thinking that they actually cut into his penis?
I know my penis from a potato. I know that much.
Yeah. I can like 9 times out of 10 tell the difference between my penis and a potato.
What about that one time?
I don't want to brag, but 9 times out of 10.
And why am I show my dick off to the world? Like, everyone's there. Like, can we do this in private? Why is everyone in Zamunda there for me to put my dick through a hole for you to take a little bit off the top? It seems a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, can we put up a curtain or something just for a little modesty, please?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it was weird. And also, like, what would they have done if he was already circumcised?
I think they said he was.
Was he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did. Because Leslie
okay.
Jones, like, she's like, just take a little bit off the top or whatever, because he was already, done.
Oh, see, I missed that.
Yeah.
I was assuming they just got like some inside info from his royal bathers or something.
The royal bathers came back with intel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you want a heads up about that sort of thing, I guess.
Oh, we should also mention at this point, Lavelle is having doubts about all of this, and he's, confides in his hairdresser, Marimbe, who he's getting closer to. And of course, Marimbe says, oh, you should, just be your own man. Don't be who Zamunda thinks you should be. Be who you are, the guy from Queens. And of course, then he also tells him about, Prince Hakeem, about what he did when he went to Queens. And of course, then they show clips of the old Coming to America, the OG. And so then Lavelle takes that to heart. He decides to be, a mix of the Queens and Zamunda, and that ends up with him flying out his Uncle Reem to Zamunda. So we got Tracy Morgan here now too.
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, I'm in Zamunda.
Yeah, we need some more Tracy Morgan. And we also find out from Lavelle's hairdresser that like they bond a bit. Like they are both fans of the barbershop movies, and she wants to own her own barbershop, but women can't own their own businesses in Zamunda. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, I guess so.
And apparently Lisa's been okay with this for just 30 years.
Yeah, no one decided to change the laws or anything. No one, everybody just like was coasting, just getting bathed by bathers and just letting it rock.
You think Lisa would have like whispered into Akeem's ear somewhere in the second or third year of the marriage, be like, "Hey, maybe we should adjust this law."
Nope, guess not.
Yeah,
And they also have this nice talk, and of course, they talk about American films. And Lavelle says, I think Marimbe says something about how American films are the best, and Lavelle's like, no, that's not true. I mean, what do we have? What do we have besides superhero films? Remakes and sequels to old movies that nobody asked for.
right.
Wink, wink. You get it? You see what they did?
I'm kind of surprised they didn't like turn to the camera and wink at that point. But what you gonna do?
Right. So, so at this point they're getting closer, and of course, as we all expected, the two of them share a kiss. She says like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that. You're about to be married," and she kind of runs away. But like they're in love. They're in love.
They're in love.
To be loved. To be loved.
Yeah. So we got the same conflict as the first movie, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like kind of in reverse.
Right. So of course now that he's officially been crowned prince. The ceremony of circumcision, of course, that was a fake out. Of course, they're not going to snip off his penis, just cut a potato. And he's officially the prince now, and he's going to be married to Bapoto, General Izzy's daughter. They have a big, lavish ceremony where Uncle Reem and Semi bond. They become friends and drink. Lisa and Mary, Leslie Jones, they bond because, they're both from Queens, and they hang out, and they get drunk off Ciroc or whatever. We get a Dikembe Mutombo cameo in here out of nowhere. And everybody's having fun. Lisa and Mary are getting drunk, singing the Humpty Dance, as you do. And so then we have Lavelle meeting Bapoto, and then the two of them talk, and him saying, "Yeah, I want to get to know you, who you are, like what are your favorite films?" And of course, she says, "Whatever you like." And of course, that's when we get the nod to the original Coming to America, and that's when Lavelle realizes he wants somebody who's their own person, who has their own thoughts, and not just somebody who just bends to his will. And it's basically just of course, the original all over again.
Yeah. He comes to the same conclusion that Eddie Murphy came into, 15 minutes into the first movie.
Yes, absolutely. And then, of course, we see Izzy and Akeem talking, and Izzy says, "Oh, I didn't know, you're more like your dad than I thought. I didn't know you had it in you to, marry these two kids together. You find your son and him kind of being like a pawn in this whole game, and being more, joining our countries together and being profitable to both of us." Lavelle hears this, he gets upset, saying, "Oh, I'm just being used here for this thing. I need to get out of here." So him and he grabs Marimbe, he grabs Mary, he grabs Uncle Reem, and they all leave on the private jet back to Queens.
Right. And then Akeem finds this out, and he's like, "Oh, I've got to go after them." And Lisa gets pissed at him again.
Right, because Lisa, she says, like, "Yeah, you've changed. You're not the same guy you were before. Like, your daughter's visibly upset that she can't become queen, but you just kind of brushed that off, and you just kind of forgotten who you were and what you stood for." And she kicks him out of the bedroom, and then they have a big old fight.
Yeah.
And then that leads to Eddie Murphy being kind of despondent, trying to figure out who he is now, and him going to the McDowell's in Zamunda and mopping up the floor like he did way back when.
Right, yeah, and he has a little conversation with John Amos.
Right. John Amos having a McFlurby, which is nothing like a McFlurry because the toppings are on the bottom.
That's right.
And then they have a nice little heart-to-heart talk about how heavy the how heavy the head is that wears the crown, and I think at one point Cleo says, "What would your mother think of you at this point? Like, what would your mother want for you?" Which, a little nod to the actress that passed away, and
Claire, yeah,
yeah, and so then we have Akeem going back to Queens to get back his son.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that we didn't spend more of this movie in America. Because it's called Coming to America.
Mhm.
I don't think it's an unreasonable expectation to expect them to come to America at some point and spend some more time there.
Right. This is Coming to America, then leaving America, then going back to America.
I guess that was a clunkier title.
You can't fit that on a jacket or a T-shirt.
No, yeah. I mean, even if you are using the numbers two instead of the word two.
Absolutely. So he goes back to Queens. He goes back to the barbers because apparently the barbers know everything that he needs to know. They have all the information for him. Their barbers having a discussion about I think one barber said how much he likes red bone gals, and the other one is saying, "Oh, I like my dark skinned women," and barbershop talk. And Akeem says he's looking for his son. The barbers say, "Oh yeah, they came in here earlier." The woman says, I think they said the woman was looking for a job, and the barber was would have offered him a job at the barbershop. But then they went off to get married at this church in Elmhurst, and so he goes off to Elmhurst, Queens, at the church that they're getting married, and it turns out, of course, to be this super rundown church. Of course, headed by Reverend Brown, played by Arsenio Hall, who was in the original Coming to America.
Yes, and he's performing the ceremony of these two crazy kids. They're trying to get married.
Yeah.
So
while they're getting married in this rundown church, Eddie Murphy is running to go to them and stop the wedding. While this is happening, General Izzy is returning to the palace, wondering where is the prince to marry his daughter, and then Akeem's daughter Mika, which is Akeem backwards, is there to sort of stall him, and basically trying to prevent him from going bonkers and taking over the joint.
Yeah.
A lot happening here.
A lot happening. Yeah, lot going on, and but Akeem, he realizes the error of his ways. He's like, hey, these two kids are in love the way that Lisa and I were back in the day, and I've gotten older and more conservative, and I've become like James Earl Jones in the first film.
Right. There was one line that Leslie Jones had that I liked. When Akeem finally finds him and bursts into the church, quote unquote. Leslie Jones looks at him and is like, "Did you run all the way from here from Africa?"
Yes, yeah, because he can't get a cab. He tries to stop a cab the same way he did in the first film, where he just steps out into the street and he's like, halt.
Right.
And then the guy comes out and he's like, oh no, you gotta do it through the app, because
download the app. There's a special today.
Right.
Well, I thought it was cool.
It was cute.
Yeah. So and also while this is happening back in Zamunda, Izzy grows impatient and he says, "Well, I'll kidnap his daughter until the prince comes." And as he tries to kidnap Mika, that goes horribly awry because Mika can fight, y'all, and she ends up taking out the soldiers quite soundly by herself. And,
yes.
And then, of course, that makes Izzy upset, and then that's when we have her other two sisters and Semi coming in to fight Izzy and his soldiers. Of course, Semi says, "Let's see you defend yourself, you sweat from a baboon's balls," and we get this huge, big old fight scene.
Yeah,
which is a nice little. It was actually a pretty well choreographed fight scene. I'll say that.
Yeah, it was decent. They
were going to lose because they were fighting Blade.
Right.
You know what? There's always some asshole who's trying to ice skate uphill. So
I still don't know what that means.
No one does.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So they so basically Mika and her sisters and Simi are able to take out the soldiers. Izzy is like, all right, well, hey, now that I'm defeated, let's talk. Let's talk like civilized people.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then so back in Queens, as you said, Akeem realizes like, oh yeah, I've changed. Like I've kind of lost my way. You guys should get married. You guys are in love, because
Yeah.
love wins all. All that jazz.
Right.
And then of course Marimbe said, yeah, this doesn't feel right. Zamunda is my home. I belong to Zamunda. And Akeem says, all right, well, I'll bring Queens to Zamunda. And yeah, he brings everybody back to Zamunda to have Prince Lavelle and Marimbe married. And he has some singers and his orchestra there to play "To Be Loved" to make up to Lisa. They reconnect and they slow dance. Lavelle and Marimbe get married while DeVito plays. Akeem makes up with Mika and says, "I've changed the laws. You'll be heir to the throne because you're able to, you're definitely more suited for the job than Lavelle is. So you'll be heir to the throne. Lavelle will be an ambassador to America." Akeem apologized to Mika. They make up. Things seem to be okay between Izzy and Akeem now. Like a lot of the problems, like the big conflicts, they seem to wrap up very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
like nice and neat with a bow on it.
I mean, the main conflict of the movie is really just resolved by the king saying like, "Yeah, I'm changing the laws," and it's like, well, why didn't you do that an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, like the whole thing. Like again, the whole thing is just like the original Coming to America, where like the king was like, "I can't change the laws. It is tradition," and then the queen is just like, "Yeah, you can. Just change it." And then
Yeah,
and the king's like, "Oh, all right." And it's the same thing happening here. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I can just change the laws. I'm the king. I'll do whatever."
they're very slow on the uptake in Zamunda, I think.
Yeah, very, very much so. So, yeah, we have this big old happy ending. Everything seems to be okay with everybody, and a big wedding ceremony. And of course, at the end of the ceremony, we have none other than Randy Watson and his band Sexual Chocolate playing "We Are Family." Of course, we all know Randy Watson from the "What's Going Down" episode of "That's My Mama," where he played Joe the policeman.
Sure.
And yeah,
Classic.
and it says all of them singing "We Are Family." Then they have Fresh Peaches and Sugar Cube, the two twin rappers from the original Coming to America, come out and sing rap. My name is Peaches and I'm the best. All the sucker MCs want to grab my breast. And
Right.
yeah, then it ends on this happy, big old happy ending where it's like a big old family cookout type of thing.
Yeah. So all's well that ends well. Yeah. What do we think of this movie? I personally, I kind of lost interest in it about halfway through, I think.
Well, Anthony, I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on this whole film in general?
The first time I watched it, I actually hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really did. The second time around, it kind of got to me. It's like the first time I had to eliminate the process from my brain of treating it as a sequel to a comedy classic. Once I got that out of my head, like, okay, this is livable. I won't revisit it often, but it's something that I could do. It seems like because they had so many different writers. You had Craig Brewer because of Dolomite is my name. I understand the connection with him and Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing Kenya Barris to assist with the writing, so on and so forth. I guess the issue with the movie itself is that you never quite really got a grasp of what it was. Like, is it a comedy? Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a family flick?
Yeah.
Like the biggest issue that I have with it compared to the original is that because which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because you're putting it on Amazon Prime, is that you make this one PG-13 and the originals are.
Yeah.
So you get to go a lot further with the original than you do with the others. The other part is that the side characters are all amazing comics that you don't really put them to good use. Like
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Morgan's in it, but he doesn't get to do his Tracy Morgan thing. Leslie Jones is in it, but she doesn't get to really, really do her Leslie Jones thing. And the thing about the original the funny parts that people kind of sort of remember were from actors that weren't comedians. Like, um, I'm
Like John
blanking.
Amos.
Well, okay. Point. Like, if you take John Amos, like, he's not funny, but the things that he says are funny, so it kind of works. Like the whole "I'm gonna break your foot,
Hmm.
my foot off in your royal ass" is a great line. You miss guys like, Frankie Faison. He's not funny, but when the guy Stu falls down the stairs and he curses him out, it's still one of the most hilarious parts of the first movie to me. It just is.
Hey, Stu, you're
It
rent, Stu, motherfucker.
fucker. And don't be playing that falling down the stairs shit again neither. You conscious.
Conscious.
Right. Those little glimpses, and again, it kind of goes back to your thing. For a movie called Coming to America, we spend a hell of a lot of our time in Zamunda, where if you keep
Yeah.
it in America and you keep it in that part of Queens, I think you have a more interesting movie because you're dealing with other societal issues that are mined for comedy, like gentrification and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things that you can kind of play with within that area, and to take it out of there, because you don't really get a sense of Zamunda. You get to see the Crown Palace. You get to see inside of it. You get to see where the lions are apparently playing in the backyard. We have to cut off their whiskers, and that's it. You don't really get a grasp of like this whole ecosystem or whatever. But with the original, you were in the barbershop, you were in the church, you were going to dinner, you were in the subway. You got a real feel of it. You don't really get a feel of what Zamunda really is, besides like it's basically these guys in the palace, and no one really cares about the constituents. Like, outside of the royal bathers and the people with the flowers, who lives in Zamunda?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought at first I was like, okay, so they're doing like sort of a reverse of the first film, where they've got a guy from Queens coming to Zamunda, and you have the culture clash in reverse. But because we don't really know what Zamunda's about, it just doesn't work as well. Like, Queens, we know, even if we haven't been to Queens or lived in Queens, we know what Queens is like. Because it's in our world, and Zamunda is like this fictional country, and we don't really know much about it. So the comedy's just not as relatable in this one, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, and I agree with Anthony. Like, I mean, going into this film, I was kind of hesitant to watch it just because. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but on my Facebook timeline, I've seen so many people saying, "Oh my god, this movie's trash. It's the worst.
Mhm.
It hurt my feelings. It ruined the first movie for me." Like, people were constantly trashing this movie. So I was like, "Oh my god,
Mm.
what have I got myself into? I don't even know if I want to see this." And after seeing it, I'm gonna say if you compare it to the first film, you're not gonna like it. If you look at it as like its own standalone thing and try to divorce it from the original film, it's okay. It's not. I still think the first film is better, but like I mean, this had like a few moments here and there that I liked. Like, but overall, I still think the first one was better. But it's not
Yeah.
as god awful and terrible as so many of my friends made it out to sound. Like, people were saying it's like a hate crime, this film, but it's not that bad.
I thought it was fine. I didn't really love it, but I didn't really hate it. It was there. My attention started to wander halfway through. I'll confess.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and also I think it's also because like the tone of humor is kind of different. It's like what Anthony
Mhm.
said. Like with the first film, they had a lot of people who weren't comedic actors, saying funny things, like John Amos and James Earl Jones, and like somehow when like a dramatic actor says stuff straight, it depending on what it is, it can be funnier than
Mhm.
if when a comedic actor says it. And like this one, it was more heavy with comedic actors, and they kind of try to play it up for a younger audience. Like they had like a lot of songs, like modern day songs that like the young folks would know. So like they were trying to make it a more modern version, but also kind of give respect to the original. And I mean I get that, but at the same time I was like the writing wasn't quite as tight and as sharp as it should have been, and like I think I agree with you guys. It was okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't the worst thing, but it wasn't really the best thing. It was just like
I just thought the story kind of meandered. I wish they could have found a way to spend more time in Queens. Like, maybe it could have been more about Akeem initially going out to Queens to get his son and convincing him more. Like they go right back to Zamunda,
Yeah.
and it might have been fun to play up the culture clash stuff a little more.
Right. Like I don't know how much of that maybe had to do with COVID and like how they weren't able to shoot what they wanted to.
Well, apparently it was all shot pretty much before COVID. The principal photography. They shot this in 2019. They and Yeah, they started shooting it in Atlanta, August 17th, 2019, and then they completed um, the filming like a couple months later on November 9th. So,
All right.
yeah, so, I mean, like COVID, it screwed up the release, but it wasn't affected. It didn't affect the shooting of it.
Yeah.
So,
All right. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, another thing I thought about this film is like I mean, I like that they gave nods to the original, but it seemed like they kind of maybe leaned on that a little too much. You know, like instead of maybe coming up with, maybe some snappier jokes or sharper dialogue, they would just like show you something from the original, and that would be enough to get you to enjoy it and to laugh. It's like, oh yeah, remember
right.
what's her face from the original? There she is. Oh, remember so and so? Remember this? That was in the original. That's funny, right? All right, moving on. We don't need to write anything. We don't need to write any jokes. We just need to show you something from the original that will trigger something in your nostalgia brain, and that'll be enough to carry this film. And for a lot of it, it's like it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
Nostalgia is just not a great selling point when it comes to comedy. You could try, but this is a this is like a seminal classic in regards to comedy.
Right.
The thing is that you can have some callbacks, like you can't do that movie without having, say, Randy Watson and the Barbershop Guys. Like
Right.
they kind of have to be there because the thing about it now, 30 years later, is that those characters, people still quote those lines till this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in like 30 years, I mean, so you're going through two generations of still saying Randy Watson and everything else to that degree.
Yeah.
The issue that you're always going to run into in regards to sequels is like, especially when you have something like this, it's hard to really top the original. So you have to find a way, not necessarily to do better than the original because it's impossible. It's more, you have to find a lane or pocket where this kind of works. And like I said, leaving America and putting it in Zamunda, it could have worked if you were able to build the what was life like around it and how Lavelle would seem so out of place,
Yeah.
like in their society, not necessarily just in the sense of being a royal, but just what is it like for me to be in Africa? Like if it was me, I wouldn't necessarily be like thrown off because like it's not what I guess some people think. It's an industrialized nation for the most part, where you would actually like kind of go and visit. Um, like I did appreciate like the little things. I think they just really tried to play it safe. Like for example, like when they go into the barbershop and they're all talking when the king comes back and they call him Kunta Kinte and so on and so forth. Then the one guy says something about like the kids with the flies in the face, like, oh, hold on now, you're going too far. Like, all right, like I see what you're trying to do there, and I get it. But if you base it in Zamunda and you see like how strange it is for an American to be there, then you can play the comedy of it. That's what made the original so beautiful because it was basically a fish out of water story. Like this
Right.
guy's trying to travail this world he knows zero about, and Lavelle knows nothing about it as well. But he's more he's stuck inside the entire movie. Like you're not really making it funny unless you have, I mean, extremely funny people there that can make up for it. And it just didn't. And like I said, it's not a hatred of the movie. Like I said, I've learned to actually like it. And like I said, in the end, it's okay. It's not something I'm really going to get back to. But the thing is that it made me just kind of realize like people just need to stop touching classics. I remember her a few years ago, like they were going to try to remake The Last Dragon. And after seeing this, I'm like, please leave that shit alone. Don't that's it's a seminal moment of my childhood. Don't touch that movie.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have like Samuel L. Jackson playing Show Enough. I'm like, all right, stop. For
Yeah.
me, come
Right.
on. I'm getting older. My mind's gonna start losing a bit. So these little lovable moments, I remember my childhood. I want to keep, and that's part of it. So don't start touching things. In the beginning, wrapped it all up. He came to America. He found the queen. They lived happily ever after. Perfect. You didn't
Yeah.
really need a part two.
No.
I guess people were calling for it, but like, you really
Mm.
didn't. I think the issue comes down to the fact that it was unnecessary. It was
Yeah.
like, if you're going to do it, be
Yeah.
different. But it's like, you really don't like, if you're going to bring Eddie Murphy back in a new comedy vehicle, don't bring him back here, especially when he's not really a part of the movie. Like I said, in the original, Prince Akeem plays the straight man. All the other parts are the funny parts, just like it was in his movie. Seeing Randy Watson, still funny. Seeing the guys cut up in the barbershop, it's still funny. But to go ahead and just think that this was a good idea, it really wasn't. So the black side of me is really just trying to be appreciative of it, but it's kind of struggling because it's like, it just seems totally unnecessary.
I'm wondering if it would have been more successful if we had like a stronger personality as Lavelle. Like, because I thought Jermaine Fowler was fine, but like if they went with like Tracy Morgan, I mean that right there, that kicks your movie up a few notches because Tracy Morgan has such an established personality, and I think like putting him into like a formal culture like Zamunda, that's automatically funny. And like if Lavelle had been like a little more outrageous and have
Yeah. I mean,
like a little more attitude or something.
I
Do
mean,
you, do you mean like Lavelle played by Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, I mean, hell, yeah, that's. I'm immediately more interested in seeing that movie. Sure.
hey man,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in Africa, baby. But no, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, because I do feel like they maybe should have given Jermaine Fowler a little bit more ado because he is a funny dude. Like, I've seen his stand up, I've seen
Yeah.
his stand up
Yeah.
special. He's really hilarious. He was in Sorry to Bother You, who's funny in that. But like, he does play it pretty straight in this film. Like,
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe I shouldn't say that the actor is bland. I haven't seen him in a whole lot of other stuff, but the character was kind of bland. There wasn't a whole lot there, you know?
Yeah, no, fair enough. And yeah, I also agree with Anthony about like how I guess we're just in this world now where just like nostalgia is like kind of driving the force for films and TV shows because like it can work sometimes with shows like Cobra Kai, mostly
Yeah.
like they're able to do it well where it's like a new thing but it taps into like some old stuff too and like they do it well. I actually enjoy Cobra Kai quite a bit. But
Mhm.
there is a thing now where like we're constantly going back to old properties and just repackaging them for like a new audience. It just seems to be like we recently just had the Bill and Ted movie come out, the new one, and then we're
Yeah.
coming out with the new Space Jam. I mean, I guess it's just also this thing where because like movies like that, they already have like a built-in fan base. Like I guess maybe there's less of a risk for people like people in the who make the movies and the TV shows. They're like, oh, we'll just redo this. They already have like a baked-in fan base. They'll come out to support it out of nostalgia or curiosity.
Mhm.
So and like because it's something that's already come out and people already know, people will like share it more on social media and whatnot. So it'll get more tweets and likes and retweets and all that.
I think there's that, and I think that's also maybe that like people are probably seeking out the comfort of the familiar a little more.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because the world is so chaotic still right now. You know, with COVID and everything else that's gone on the last few years, I think people want familiar and they want reassurance, and that's as good a reason as any to do sequels to beloved properties like this. You know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So yeah, that's the film Coming to America. I thought overall, I thought it was okay. It wasn't horrible like everybody
Yeah.
said, but it is far from great.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that Coming to America was better than Coming to America.
Wow. See, I think Coming to America was better than Coming to America.
Wow. Anthony, do you want to be the tiebreaker on this? Which did you like better, Coming to America or Coming to America?
I just thought Coming to America was great.
Wow.
See,
I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, you can't. It's Coming to America, people. It's Coming to
Wow.
America.
I think Coming to America.
I thought for sure you were going to say Coming to America.
I was thinking Coming to America, but I was like, is it really that great? But like, you know what, Coming to America is better than Coming to America. So I think that the general consensus is that you should probably watch Coming to America.
You're right. Watch Coming to America, then watch Coming to America, and then you can figure out which one you like better: Coming to America or Coming to America.
I think you need to see Coming to America to fully appreciate Coming to America.
Have we drilled this bit to the ground yet?
Yeah. No, I think it's. Okay. I think it's.
Yeah, the hole's dug. So just throw it in.
Yeah. All right, and that's our podcast, guys. Anthony, thank you so much for being on with us.
Appreciate it.
Do you want to talk about your podcast, The Culture? You want to, tell the folks about it?
Yes, sir. Me and my friend Jeff De La Rosa, we have a podcast called The Culture. It's about music, sports, topics that kind of come about, or just general random conversations we have when we're either under the influence or just don't care. We looking for listeners. We're looking for followers. If you come, just enjoy the conversations. We're not as good as SNL nerds. We're working on it. We're a young burgeoning podcast. We're only 30 episodes in. We're trying to follow in the footsteps of greatness, and the best way to do it is just be on with these gentlemen, learn the tools of the trade, become a better person, become a better parent, and figure how we're going to move forward and just be better people. And one day we're going to achieve this type of excellence, and we're going to feel so much better about ourselves because it's going to do great for our self-esteem. So I appreciate you guys having us on. I learned a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And where can folks follow you? Where can they find your podcast? Are you guys on Twitter, on social media?
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, any of the general streaming sites that are out there. Just put in The Culture. We should pop right on up. We do have an email address, which I'll probably provide you at the end of the show, that if anybody wants to reach out to us or have any questions or so on and so forth, we'd be glad to acknowledge you on the show and bring up any topics you might have of concern or want us to talk about and hear our thoughts, and we'd be glad to hear from you.
All right. Well, cool. Yeah. So check out The Culture, guys, if you want to hear more from Anthony. So thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you for your time, man. Like, Eddie's one of my favorite comedians of all time. It's good to see him back out there, even if I might not feel a particular way about the movie. I'm glad to see him that he still has it. He's in shape, and like I said, the more and more I hear about him, I think pre-COVID he was thinking about going back on tour, and it's good to see the tail half of his career and see where he's at. And I think the movie is what it is, but it's an excellent start to get his face back out there and seeing him doing interviews again, and being Eddie Murphy. So I mean, it's an experience just to watch the movie, and just an experience to be here with you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan. He's like my alpha omega, and while I'm not wild about this film, he's still like one of the best to ever do it in my mind. So it was good to see him again.
100%. Yeah, it's fun to see him revisit the old characters, and I enjoyed his performance in this movie. I wish it had been a little more Akeem centric, but what you gonna do?
Yeah, no, fair enough. And that's our podcast, guys. And as always, you could follow us on Twitter at SNL Nerds Show. Of course, leave a review, rate, subscribe on all the platforms, Apple Tunes or whatever it's called now, and Google Play and Spotify and the like. Please donate to the Patreon at Non-Productive.com. And you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TrumbleComic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic. And we're going to be back next week with covering SNL once again with Maya Rudolph hosting and Jack Harlow musical guesting.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I'm looking forward to this. This is I'm all aflutter. My heart's all aflutter.
Yeah, it's always fun when the SNL alums come back, and you get to see them revisit their old characters. I'm sure they'll figure out something for her to do as Kamala Harris. So that'll be fun. Maybe she'll bring some other SNL alums back again.
Yeah, I'm thinking they might have her. I don't know if they'll do it, but they might do a thing where she's Meghan Markle, and they might do like a whole Meghan Markle, Prince Harry thing.
Ooh, yeah, because that's a story that broke since SNL went off. Yeah.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now.
Okay, I think that's a great prediction. We'll come back in a week and we'll see if you were right.
All right. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Place your bets, people.
Place your bets. Okay. So next week we will see you with Maya Rudolph and Jack Harlow. And until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.